Okay, guys, Nicholas Rosenberg here, Punching Back Podcast. We're here at Cult Media in the Downtown Arts District, and we've got today my former client, Sonny the Roadrunner.
What's good? What's good, Nick?
So we go back to 2018, and at that time you had an open case. So tell me about when I first pulled up, when we first met.
I believe you put up on me in 2017. If not, probably the ending of 2016. Yeah.
All right, and
was-
what was going on with you at that time?
So I had gotten arrested back in 2015, and I was fighting a case, a murder case with 3 attempts, and I had been fighting my case with a state lawyer. You know, the lawyers at the PD,
Right?
and I just didn't feel confident enough with my PD taking control of my case. So I was throwing different lawyers. I would hit my mom up and just, hit her with different lawyers, like with other dudes that was busted with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be like, look, hit them up. They cool, they good. And my mom, she would reach out to them and she would meet up. And she just, nothing would ever, like, it wouldn't go. So I was just sailing, just mentally trying to take myself out of this situation that I was in. And that's when I had gotten to a different facility, and my boys was right there, and they're like, look, hit him up. He hit up Nicholas Rosenberg. Here's his number. He looks out for the homies. Like, he takes care of us, like, hit him up. He's a good lawyer. He really does his job. So I was like, you know what, like, this is gonna be the last lawyer I throw at my mom. If it ain't this, then it ain't meant to be. So I hit my mom up. Well, before I hit my mom up, I believe I got on the phone with you. It was around count time too, and you was in your car, and you looked me up, and you told me to give you a call. You gave you my mom's number, did that, and then I called my mom and I told her, look, this Nicholas Rosenberg, he's a good lawyer. He looks out for people. Hit him up, see what he tells you. And so I guess she made the effort to hit you up, and she met up with you. And when I got back to talking to her, she told me, like, he's I think I'm gonna get him. And I'm like, oh yeah, for real? Like, for real? And she like, yeah. I'm like, all right, hell yeah, like, we on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like, man, like, it's, I feel just a lot more confident with a paid lawyer representing me. It means more in the courtroom. It's like saying a statement in other words that, people are actually caring for you out there to actually be represented in the right way. So after I was done with the conversation with my mom, at the end, she was just like, you must have, like, really been praying for this or something, or, like, really looking forward to it. And she told me that, the reason I got him was because something stood out to me between him and all the other lawyers you sent me. She's like, I don't know what it is, but he stands out to me, and I felt confident in getting him for you. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, I'm with that then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that went about like, me coming across paths with you.
All right. Now, we did a jury trial together,
Yeah.
and they had 2 DAs against little old me.
Man, and that's crazy because I went through like 3 different DAs before they stuck with the last DA. And then when they stuck with the last DA, another DA added on to that. So yeah, we went to trial with 2 DAs against just you. That was a trip. I was wondering in my head, I'm like, can they even do that? Like, how is that possible? But I guess it is, since, I've heard of people getting more than one lawyer on one case at one time. So I'm like, I guess Yeah, I guess two DAs can't fight at the same
Right.
time.
Now tell me, what was your case about? The basic facts
Um,
for the accusations.
they were accusing someone shooting at a moving vehicle. Um, and they said it was murder and 3 attempts. And yeah, that's what they was telling me.
Okay. Now, did you have a gang enhancement?
Yeah, I had gang enhancement. I had a gun enhancement,
Mm-hmm.
and that's yeah. They couldn't because I was only like what 9. I was only like 20 at the time. It was barely my second time going into the county.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't. I mean, I had been to prison, but it was for like AB 109. So they weren't. I don't know. They wasn't bringing that up. But yeah,
Okay. Now, did I call witnesses at your trial?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Who do we call?
I forget his name, but he was a gang expert. I remember that, and he was basically letting the jury know the difference between uh, gang members and gang bangers and the different positions that people play or stuff like that.
Right.
Like how there's people that just be that are part of the gang and just chill and just hang out and just aren't necessarily out there like that.
Right. And that was Alex Alonso. So shout
Yeah.
out Alex Alonso.
There you go, Alex Alonso.
And he represented the neighborhood they said you were in. But then remember, I called another gang expert to talk about the other side. So it was a brown versus black
Yeah,
type of
yeah. They were
case.
trying to make it like a racial thing, and that's just a lot of stuff that my background deals with. How they try to say that we aim for certain individuals and certain races and stuff like that, when most of the time that's not really what it is, dependent on the individual.
Right. And then I called a firearm expert because remember, they
Yeah,
found the
yeah,
gun perfectly placed in the corner.
yeah,
And we always had an issue with that.
yeah,
And then it was fouled, so it couldn't fire. So the firearm expert at the sheriff's had to cycle it 14 times before it would fire.
yeah. And what tripped me out is that they said when they scanned it for DNA, they said they found DNA on it on the gun, but they couldn't. It was so little DNA that they couldn't even figure out whether if it was male or female DNA, and that blew my mind. I was like, what?
Right. So that was, if you remember, so the story was two dudes on bicycles pulled up on the vehicle.
Yeah.
And the one that was on the right-hand side, the passenger side, was the shooter. And then they found in the middle of the street the bicycle. And then they said you had a partial match for you, 13 out of 15. We call it loci. But you're right, because I had a DNA expert and he said, look, Rosenberg, they can't tell you if it's male or female DNA. And that, I think that helped our case.
Yeah, I believe it did a lot.
Now, we had a judge who was very strict. Remember her?
Yeah, how could I forget? Yeah, but I don't know, like it's like she was strict and she was some type of way, but I remember my mom telling me something about the judge approaching her about me.
Huh.
Yeah, she had I guess as the days was going while we was in trial, I guess the first or second day that I was in trial, she had told my mom like, your son seems very calm. He seems very at ease, very in tune with himself.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh, okay.
Right. Now, remember, so we got not guilty murder, not guilty 3 attempts, not guilty shooting at a occupied car. But then the jury said that you were a felon with a firearm with a gang enhancement.
Yeah,
So
that was beyond me, but I wasn't gonna go against with the jury. I was like, if that's what it is, and all right.
well, so remember, during the trial, I would go like that to you.
Yeah.
And then the judge called us a love fest. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she was just trying to throw stuff in the air, just
Right.
I guess probably try to throw your focus off.
So there was one moment I'll never forget that I've never had, which is the judge leaned forward and was looking right at you. And she said, Mr. So and so,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you and
What?
I both know you got away with murder.
Yeah, that
And we were just, how'd that feel when you're sitting there?
like it was just like in my head. I'm just like, man, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get this over with. So like, I don't know. Like, it was yeah. When she said that, the whole room went quiet, and I'm just like, man, just make me feel more awkward than I already do.
Hmm.
Like, you did that. Like, you feel me? You got that. If that's what you wanted to get off your chest, all right.
Right. So when you're sitting there, uh, going back to the verdict, right?
Yeah.
So for me, as the lawyer, when you start writing down count one, not guilty, count two, not guilty, count three, not guilty, count four, not guilty. And then I'm over here, but you're right there hearing it. So tell me, what was that moment like when you hear them speaking?
So, before I even came out, right? And what is it, deliberation or
Yeah, jury deliberation.
yeah, so they said the jury was gonna go into deliberation. So I went back into the tank. And I've heard, people going into deliberation for a few days, a week or so. And mine was within a couple of matter of what, minutes, an hour or so. I don't know because when I
Maybe,
went,
was it 2 hours?
I couldn't even tell you because when I went back when they put me back into the cell, like, um, I just was like, man, I just put it in God's hands. I was like, at the end of the day, you know what type of person I really am, and I'm gonna leave it in your hands. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was just overwhelmed and stressed out that I laid back on the bench and I just knocked out, like,
Huh.
just from dealing with so much mentally and emotionally, and all the hot ups and downs. Because there'd be days when I felt like, man, we got this, and then there'd be days where like, damn, like, I don't know.
Right.
So I guess it was just stress and being overwhelmed that I just fell asleep. And it felt like I just closed my eyes and then the officer was waking me back up already.
Hmm.
Cause I literally felt that I felt like I just closed my eyes and they was waking me back up. So I didn't even know it was that long. I felt
Right.
like it was a couple minutes. So they woke me back up and I was just like, and I asked the officer, I was like, you got, the jury reached the verdict? And he was like, yeah. And I was just like, man, like, you, come on, you know what, like, what's the verdict? Like, just let me know before I go in there. And he was just like, you'll find out right now. Like, and
Wow.
was just like, in my head, I just was like, all right, we just gonna accept it, accept whatever it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stay stuck in it now because I'm gonna make my life harder for myself. So I sat down, and as the lady was talking, like my body was like I just felt numb, and I felt like all noise was canceled out, and I could just hear that lady talking, and she was just like, and Javier, the state of California versus Javier Ganaga, I find you. And before she said it, before she said the verdict, in my head I said not guilty. She was like not guilty. I was just like, like when she said that, my like gang of like stress just like fell off my shoulders. It just,
Hmm.
and I was just like, man. And I think, not that I think, I believe my mentality and the way I view things turned me into believe that your mindset has a lot to do with what comes into reality and what happens in your life. And because I used to be in there and I used to, fuck around with the homies and they'd be bullshitting or whatever, and I bullshit too. But once they used to get into certain conversations and they'd like talk like in a negative aspect and just be like, man, I don't care what happened. I would literally like spin off in the middle of the conversation and just start walking somewhere else because I wouldn't accept that fact for myself. Because to me, it was just like, how can I give up while I'm in the middle of a fight? That's like you fighting in the streets or whatever, and you fighting, and then you just put your hand down and you be like, I lost. Like, why would I do that? Like I'm in the middle of the fight. I don't, I'm just gonna keep fighting until I know till it is over, you know. So I used to just always be like, tell myself like I'm coming home. Like there'd be moments where I'd be with the homies at count time and they'd be bullshitting and I'd just start laughing. And they'd be like, what's wrong with you? Like, and I was just like, yeah, I'm coming home. I don't care about none of that. Like I don't know. I'm coming home though. Like, and I used to be like, hell yeah, you gonna come home. Like, whoa, whoa. But a lot of the people that I used to be around were just really negative and had given up mentally already.
Hmm.
So I think that has a big thing to do with the system and what they motive is to break you down mentally so that you can give up already mentally and you can accept that you're gonna be in there because your thoughts become your reality. You basically create what you think, and I just was I wasn't accepting that. I just didn't see that I didn't see myself losing to a system that ain't fair. Like, they say they fair, but I don't agree with that. And yeah, I just don't feel like they should be able to judge me for what or who they think I am.
Well, it sounds like you had a lot of faith.
Yeah,
Are you
for sure.
a religious guy, or what do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I believe in God. I'm
Hmm.
not perfect, I'm not this saint, I'm still human at the end of the day. So if certain things pop up or certain things happen, I tend to take it into my hands and do what a human does. Like I try to be different and change certain ways and certain things about myself, and I try to work on myself a lot. Every day I try to better myself. It's just it gets hard, and I just feel like the more I try to better myself, the more the pressure comes,
Hmm.
and it makes me double back on what I'm used to.
Right. Now, remember when you were out, I took you to the Gavlin
Yeah, yeah,
concert at the Catch One
yeah, yeah. That was
because I knew
cool.
that you did the music.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. It was a cool experience. It's just um I know when I had went out with you, I was just still like mentally everything was still new to me even though it had been months that I had been out. It's just I was just stuck in awe when I had first came out. I was just like, damn, like I'm really out here. So like I had wanted to be out so bad, but never really made a plan or nothing for myself once I did get out. So once I was out, I was just like, all right, I was like mentally stuck. I didn't know what to do
Hmm.
next.
Right. Okay, so tell me about the music. Uh, how did you get involved in the music?
So with the music, ever since I was a kid, I always I always been around music. I always liked music. Um, and I think one of my biggest influencers on music was my cousin, my older cousin,
Hmm.
Bosco. Shout out Bosco. He would always have like his CDs and stuff like West Coast Connection, Ice Cube, Eminem, and me and my other cousin, which is his little brother. When Bosco would be gone, me and my cousin. It's funny because his name's Nicholas, my cousin.
Okay.
Me and him, we would go into like his DVD, his CDs and grab like different ones that we would like and would play it, and we'd be right there like bumping it loud and just like bumping and like listening to it, saying all the cuss words to it. We'd be like what like 9, 10, or 11,
Wow.
between 9 and 11, and we'd just be right there like bumping it, just while like expressing ourselves uh as from where we come from and stuff like that. So I know that my cousin Bosco used to always do music, and every time he would say his raps, like I used to get chills, like from listening to him, and that shit used to be dope. It used to like it sparked something in me, like, you know. It's just I never like, I guess since he's I seen him far more like talented than me, like, you know,
Hmm.
because he's older, you know, he was, you know, more into it. I just was like, I can't see myself rapping. Like, I don't even know how he puts these words. His delivery is something that I just like try to get myself to match. And it was just like, how am I going to start rapping? So it is something that I always liked growing up. And when I was around him and stuff, I always liked it. And I was used to like hearing him rap. And I used to go through his notebook sometimes and look at what he
Mm.
writes. And then I guess as I got older, like, you know, I would freestyle here and there. Not that I'm big into freestyling, but like my homie, one of my boys, like one of my close boys, BC, like he uh he would tell me like, "Damn, you hard, you should start rapping." I was just be like, "Nah, I'm just bullshitting," like, you know.
Hmm.
And then finally, when I had got caught up for this case, I'd hop on the phone and my boy would be like, "Hey, you know, you should start, you know, focusing on music. You know, you're gonna be in there. You know, I know it ain't where you wanna be, but like use this time to focus on music. Focus, you know, start writing music." And I ran with that, and I
Mm.
used to just start writing music. You know, not too much as much as I would want to because I just be dealing with a lot mentally. But yeah, I created a passion for music while I was in there, and then when I did come out, that's when I just started going with it. I started actually recording music. That was 2019.
So, what was your first studio session like?
Um, I think I was on the run. I
Mm.
was like I think like 17.
Hmm.
Yeah, cause my uncle did music. My uncle did music and his homies, and they had like a record label that they was pushing. So they had a studio, but I had went on the run, and my uncle, I went to my uncle, and he was like, "Hey, hop on the mic or something." So I did something like that. It was cool, but it's just I wasn't like too comfortable just because I don't know, like I wasn't even feeling myself or nothing like that. And but yeah, that's what that was like. I was on the run and I was with my uncle and his homies and shit, and I just bounced in the booth really quick. Nothing major though.
Right.
It wasn't
Okay.
until I was like older that I started taking the music more seriously, like my mid 20s.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Now, you grew up in South Central, what they call South LA now.
Yeah, South Central right there off Western and 59th Place
Hmm.
between Western and Harvard. Yeah. That same house that I grew up in, my mom grew up in that house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had that house for a minute.
More than one generation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was it like growing up in South Central?
Uh you just had to be aware of everything, just, you know, be on point. But at the same time, you know, it was to me it was fun though. Like, you know, just the culture, you know, that's the music culture, the the fashion culture, you know.
Hmm.
There's a lot of culture in LA.
What high school did you go to?
Um I went to about 3 different high schools. My freshman year, I went to a private school. My mom was tried so hard to keep me out of the mess. You know, she sent me to a private school, Cathedral.
Okay.
Sent me to Cathedral, and I be feeling guilty because she didn't paid money for that. You know, it's just I was like just running wild. But I went there for my freshman year, and then I went like my first semester of my second year, my sophomore year, and then I ended up like my mom just stopped sending me because there was there was just like on me and there was on my bumper and stuff. They had found out I was smoking weed and stuff. They told my mom, and then she just stopped sending me there. And then I went to another like it was I think it was a magnet school. I don't know, But William and Carol Ochi,
Hmm.
right there off of 54th and I believe 4th Ave. And then they found out I was smoking weed after school. And they told my mom, and they was like, "Look, instead of expelling him, we'll transfer him to another school." And I was just like, "Yeah, like I want to go to like a regular high school. Like, I wanted to either go to Manual or Crenshaw."
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, "Yeah, just send me there." And my mom was like, "Why do you want to go there?" I'm like, I don't know, like just send me there. Like I didn't
Right.
feel like explaining myself. Like I know why I wanted to go there. It's just more people, just more stuff to do. Uh, So she was like, "Nah." They ended up transferring me to College Ready number 5. At the time, it was on Western and King,
Hmm.
and they ended up transferring me there. I ended up liking it. It was cool. Like they didn't really care about the dress code. You could listen to music while you in school. Like it was just like it was cool, but the like I don't know how to explain. Like you basically, as long as you take care of your schoolwork, they ain't tripping on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I'd rather stay here.
Right.
So then after that, I finished my sophomore year there because I had went to William and Carol Ochi for like 3 months or something like that,
Hmm.
and then I finished off my sophomore year at College Ready number 5 off of Western and King. It ain't right there no more, but at the time it was. And then after sophomore year, I stopped going to school.
Oh,
Yeah.
what were you like in high school?
As far as like what?
Like jock, loner,
Oh,
popular guy.
I mean, I played sports. Like when I was
Okay.
at Cathedral, I played football. It was cool. um, but for the most part, I mean, I had like dudes that I was cool with and shit. And then, but I don't know. I wasn't a loner or I wasn't popular. I guess I wasn't worried about that. Like just so much, a lot of stuff going on inside of my head that I wasn't even worried about none of that stuff.
Now you mentioned your mom. Was your dad in the picture growing up?
Nah, nah. My mom raised me on her own.
Hmm.
Yeah, my mom raised me on her own. I don't know my dad. Like my mom know who he is, but I ain't never like, I don't know him. I ain't got no relationship with him. I ain't got no siblings. Like I don't got brothers or sisters or nothing like that.
But you have an uncle
Yeah, I got a few.
he does the boxing.
Yeah, yeah. I got. Yeah, all of my uncles they boxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever try it?
Nah, in the streets probably. Nah,
In the
not
street.
in the ring.
And this is Navarro Gym, right? East LA.
Yeah,
I'll give a shout out to Navarro East LA.
yeah. That's his daughter's Chantel Navarro. That's my little cousin.
Right. She's like a champ.
Yeah, Chicanita. Yeah,
That's awesome. So your personality type for me is you've always been laid back
yeah.
and you don't really trip too hard, right?
I try not to because I don't be wanting to take it there. I do too much. From learning how I know how I am, I do too much, and then I be feeling like, damn, I be feeling dumb. Like, damn, why I took it too far. And sometimes there's situations where you take things to a certain level that you can't come back from. And I've come to find out it's bad to make decisions based off your anger,
Based on,
off your anger.
oh, right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm very impulsive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of keep yourself in check,
Yeah.
not to go, not to go all the way there.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, I try to, until like I feel like people are trying to like do too much, like, and I've always me personally, I feel like I've always experienced that people take my kindness for weakness because I'm chill. Yeah, I am laid back. I'm cool. Like that's how I like to be. I like to be. I'm straight. I'm cool. Like, but once you like try to cross that line with me, it's like now I gotta show you a different me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't be wanting to do that, but it's like, why you trying to take it with me there when I showed you the cool side of me? Like, Not at that point. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, and I don't like that. It makes me feel embarrassed. It makes me feel all type of shit, and not just like I become impulsive and I react off of my emotions.
What advice would you give to the young rappers coming up in LA?
To stay independent and to believe in themselves. Stay independent, believe in themselves, and work on perfecting their craft. You know, don't don't go off trying to do something you're not used to. You know, don't feel like you got to follow a hype or follow other artists. You know, you can have other artists as your influencers. You know, but just stay true to yourself and try to master your own craft and stay independent.
Right. And when you say independent, you mean the record labels?
Yeah, like you ain't really got to necessarily go into a record label. You know, stay for what I believe in. I'm gonna stay independent. That's what I'm aiming for, because my whole thing is I'm not doing it for just for a little hype. You know, I'm trying to be in it for the long run. And you know, I've come to learn and find out that if it's easy to get, it's because it's easy to lose, and if it's hard to get, it's worth it, and it's gonna stay a lot longer.
Right. You keep your own success.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. Just stay independent and work on mastering your own craft and be yourself.
So let me ask you this. Thinking about your music, how do you not incriminate yourself or others, but at the same time keep it street?
Basically, you know, talk about what you've been through, but don't talk about it into detail. Like basically talk about it and let people know how you felt while you was going through certain things. You don't necessarily got to go into detail on what happened and stuff like that. You could just say indirects, you know, like and let them know how you felt through your experience of what you was going through.
Right. What's the biggest misconception about rappers coming out of South Central?
The biggest misconception that that everyone's a gangster. Everyone tries to, you know, portray that image of this, that, and the other when it's like you ain't got to do that, you know, because push come to shove, a lot of people ain't ready to deal with the consequences that comes with that, you know, like it's a lot of mental battles that a lot of people don't a lot of people that are from the streets, really from the streets, that they don't talk about, a lot of emotional battles that they deal with, a lot of trauma that comes with it. And it's like, you know, you ain't got to do that. You know, if that's really who you are, then that's really who you are. But if you're just trying to portray an image, that's not an image you really want to portray, because then at the end of the day, you put in a target on your back, and then you just everything just gonna come to light on. They gonna find out who you really are, and then you gonna embarrass yourself. So just save yourself the headache and just be yourself.
Right? All
So I
right.
believe that's the biggest misconception, that everyone's trying to like portray a certain image of the streets. You know, if that is you, then that is you. But if it ain't, you just chill, just
Right.
be creative.
What's your favorite South Central food spot?
South
Or the
Central.
top, like the top three?
Uh, honestly, I don't even have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I be trying to try different stuff. That's why but I'm not big on the eating. Even though I like to, but I ain't the type to like get myself to go try new stuff. Like if someone gets me to go try, I'm willing. I'm a go.
Right.
But I don't know. I've never been the type to sit there and look for new stuff, or like, you know. But as far as like spots, I know the Fred's off of Vermont. That's
Okay.
something that I've just always run to.
Right.
But like I said, I don't know. I ain't big on the like eating or looking up spots and stuff like that, unless someone gets me to go, like, you know, like, or brings it up.
Right. We have
Now,
to go to Marathon Burger, right?
yeah, I gotta try that out for sure.
For sure. And what's the hardest bar you ever wrote?
The hardest bar,
Yeah.
You'd have to give me a time to think about that one.
All right, I got you. Cause you have so many.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I got a lot of stuff that I've written that it's true and stuff like that. So it's like, I
Favorite song?
favorite song as of right now, um, probably Bankroll Motion.
Bankroll Emotion?
Bankroll Motion.
Okay, Bankroll Motion.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That
Now
one's
you
pretty
you
cool.
have videos that you dropped, right?
Yeah, yeah. I got a visual to that. Yeah,
Okay.
I got a YouTube channel. Yeah.
And what's coming down the pike for you? What can we expect in the future?
I'm gonna be working on a project, and I also got something in the works with somebody. So I'm gonna just let people stay tuned to see that. But yeah, I'm definitely working on my own project, and then I'm working on something else with someone else, and that's gonna be some cool.
All right. And who's your dream collaboration? Who would you like to work with?
Um, I don't, mm, I don't know. I don't think I have like a dream collaboration. Excuse me, I've made a song with an artist that I listen to a lot, and I was like, yeah, I did that, which was 22 G Fay. He's out of San Diego. I
Okay.
listen to a lot of his music, and I uh, I got myself to make a song with him,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that. So I was just like, damn, that's cool. That was cool. Like I made a song with someone that I really listen to. But other artists that I would like to collaborate with um, would be like Draco Don't Jam, Millie's. He's out of Massachusetts,
Huh.
and a lot of other people. Like from Cali, I would like to work with Zay Bang. He's hard. Um, Kalen for real, he's hard. And the other one that I would want to work with, I ain't gonna say the name because I don't want to ruin the surprise. But I'm actually getting something going with him. Is the
Okay.
other artist that I want to work with.
So there's a lot coming from Sonny.
Yeah, for sure.
And how can people find you on social media?
My name's Sonny the Roadrunner altogether. Yeah, Sonny the Roadrunner on Instagram. That's on YouTube, on TikTok. Yeah,
All right. So hit subscribe, guys.
yeah, for sure.
All
Hit
right.
subscribe.
Any final thoughts?
As to what?
Well, just, kind of close it out, wrap it up. Who is Sonny?
I'm just another product of my environment. Trying to tell my story. You know, and I'm trying to do it in a different way, as to like instead of just always projecting, violence and negativity. I'm trying to do something different. Because after me is gonna be the next generation, and we need to start basically putting our youth first instead of last, because I feel like that's what we do a lot. We forget about the youth, and we don't necessarily understand the seriousness of how much they look up towards us, and they absorb everything that we do, and we just need to do a better job in guiding them. Because once we gone, then they gonna have to figure it out on their own. And instead of giving them broken tools to work with, why not polish our tools and give them brand new tools to work with so they can build better stuff and become better than what we were? You know, it's there's a saying that goes, we gotta teach our kids, we gotta raise our kids better so they won't have to heal from their trauma, and that's what I believe in.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show. Okay, guys, Nicholas Rosenberg, Punching Back Podcast. We're out.